Welcome into the second episode of Stallions Stampede, where we are continuing our series of Keep or Cut our 2025 players on expiring contracts for the Birmingham Stallions. Last week we did all the offensive players. This week we are doing all the special teams players. So let's giddy up. Our first of two players on the special teams with expiring contracts is our long snapper, Ryan Langan. Ryan has been with the Stallions since the 2022 inaugural season. In 2022, Ryan started all 12 games and won the USFL championship. In 2023, he started all 12 games yet again, but this year he was named 2023 All USFL team and also was yet again another USFL champion. And then in 2024, the inaugural season of the UFL, Ryan started all 12 games yet again, and was on the 2024 UFL championship team. But then in 2025, Ryan only started 6 of 11 games due to injury. He missed weeks 6 through 10 of this past season, but as always, a really solid long snapper. Ryan has just been, besides this past year dealing with injuries, but he's been pretty reliable, every single year, starting all three of our first seasons, and then most of this past year, a little over half of the games this past year. My favorite moment from Ryan Langan was actually whenever he gave me his sweat towel at the 2022 USFL playoffs in Canton, Ohio versus the New Orleans Breakers. And of course, I'm Keaton Ryan Langan. We signed two long snappers last year, William Moat and then Gage King, but Ryan was still our guy, so we're keeping you for another couple of years, Ryan. Our next and final player on expiring contracts for the special teams unit is punter Kobe Wadman. Kobe Wadman has been the Stallions punter since 2022. In 2022, the Stallions drafted Wadman first with their first pick in the 33 round of the 2022 USFL draft. He started all 12 games that year. He had 50 punts for 2,241 yards, an average of 44.8 yards per punt, and then he had a long of 67 yards, and then he was part of that 2022 USFL champion team. But then in 2023 was his best year up to date in spring football. He started all 12 games. He had 28 punts for 1,365 yards. He had an average of 48.8, and then he had a long of his longest punt was 65 yards. He was the USFL punting average leader. He was also named to 2023 All USFL with Ryan Langan, and then of course he was part of that 2023 USFL champion team win over the Pittsburgh Maulers. And then actually after that year, he signed with the Washington Commanders for the preseason. He was there for a couple weeks. I know that he was there that preseason game against the Cleveland Browns, but he ended up not being trusted out. So then he was back in 2024. This year, he only started 8 of the 12 games. He had a couple injuries through the middle of the year where we signed Drew Chrisman, but then he ended the year with 28 punts for 1,231 yards, an average of 43.9 yards per punt, and then his longest punt was 59 yards as he won the 2024 inaugural UFL championship. And then this past year, he started all 11 games for the Stallions. He had 31 points for 1,438 yards. His average was 46.3 yards per punt, and then 68 yards was his longest punt of the year. I have Kobe Wadman. My favorite memory from Kobe Wadman is really just that 2023 year, which is really solid for him. He never punted in a playoff game, but in that championship, he had 2 punts. So that's probably my favorite memory from Kobe Wadman. And then whether we keep or cut him, we got to keep him. I mean, we had Drew Chrisman, who was pretty good for a while, but then we chose Kobe Wadman over him. Kobe has been our punter. He's been the man. So we're keeping both our long snapper and our punter for at least the next 2 years. That's it for this week's episode of Stallions Stampede, where we talked about our two special teams players on expiring contracts this year. Remember, next week will be our defensive players, and then make sure if you haven't watched last week's offensive players on expiring contracts. Make sure you guys watch that Stallions Stampede episode. And remember, the Birmingham Stallions are not officially out of Birmingham yet. They have not had any stadium deals for any of the teams yet, not in Boise, Kentucky, or wherever they're going to go, Columbus or Orlando. So remember to buy season tickets, sign the petition, buy merch for the Birmingham Stallions, because they're not done yet, and we need to show why the UFL needs the Birmingham Stallions. Hashtag Save the Stallions. UFL Isaac out. Stallions Stampede out.